environments.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes from Chubby, who says, "Hi, I have a question. I used to have a few people watch me for my Overwatch streams, but I moved to Fortnite and I'm having trouble maintaining viewership for that game. Do you have any tips on expanding your community in such a heavy and saturated game?"
By not playing that game, honestly.
Well, the question was about heavy and saturated, which is just tough no matter what. It's tough no matter what.
If it's a heavily saturated game, expanding your community in there, I mean, realistically, it's doing the most obvious answer. Yeah, doing something unique, hosting special events at the same time as not necessarily hinging all of your self-worth on whether or not those events are successful. Because one of the problems you run into is, oh, I'm going to do this really special event and it's going to be so huge and everybody's going to be really happy with it. And then it's not, because it's not most of the time. That's how you fail until you succeed. You got to get all those failures out of the way. If you go to host these events that are really interesting, have an interesting idea, and you're hinging all of your self-worth and your value of your stream on that, and then it's not successful, you're immediately putting on a worse show, and any success that you did have with that event is now just immediately lost. So it's like, you got to balance a lot of those kinds of things out. Saturation by itself is just its own unique problem, and going from one saturated game to another, I mean, it seems like you're already familiar with like kind of how to juggle that, which is really, really nice, like how to kind of weather that storm. But standing out, doing the things that you can to stand out, hosting unique events and competitions with something on the line, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're dedicated to playing only those kinds of games, like that's what you want to do, that's what makes you happy, then that's my suggestion.
If you look at any I would say medium to high medium streamer that you really respect, like several hundred viewers at a time all the time, and then they automatically switch to a really highly saturated game, there's a good chance that even their viewership's going to go down because you've got people with thousands and thousands of viewers above them. So nobody at that point, nobody new is going to come in, right? Like there's no reason for anybody new to find your stream because there's hundreds of streams above it, right? So that it works at least to some point for somebody who's got a dedicated community. So you're going to have your core community, and if they like Fortnite, then they're going to enjoy the stream. But yeah, it's tough unless you're doing something super unique. And then once you do something super unique, you have to then get people to know about it, which is another challenge, right?
You can do something super unique to 0 viewers, and like, what's it going to do? It's like we've all had that kind of situation, or known about it at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like it's an uphill battle. I mean, I don't know how you managed Overwatch. I mean, it's definitely becoming less saturated now, and
Overwatch is unique. So Overwatch has this thing where people can see what character you're playing, and that I think that whittles down
only on Twitch, by the way.
Well, only on Twitch, yeah. It ramps up the accessibility for people to find you because you see all these streams, right? Hundreds and hundreds of streams playing Overwatch, but maybe you're a guy that only wants to watch Winston, right? Because you're a main tank and you want to only watch Winston. You're going to only be looking for the Winston characters. So that helps a little bit. Overwatch is a little bit of a different case, but Fortnite is definitely not a different case. That's a bit tough.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And there's like the objective values there too, right? Is like people are always going to complain about how you play a character. It doesn't really matter what you're playing, but in Overwatch, you got the in Overwatch, you have like the team dynamic and the group dynamic, and then the different maps, and then the different play types, the different modes, and whether it's comp or and then bringing in viewers and stuff to play with you in why did I just forget the most saturated game on the entirety of what's it called that we were just talking about? What?
Fortnite? What are you talking
about?
Fortnite.
Thank you. Good.
I'm glad it's not just me.
Were you going to say
no, it's not at all.
With the forts? I don't know the game with the forts.
That game.
Well, see, this was the electrical thing that was coming in. This is I tried to. But with that, it's like you straight up have like how far you're getting in the match, how many kills you've got, and how you're stacking up directly to everybody else that's playing and everybody else that's streaming. And it's pretty much a one-to-one comparison unless you're doing something like really goofy. So it's like, it's much easier to have an objective qualification of whether or not you're worth watching to most people. And that's deeply problematic for trying to grow with that particular game. Now that you pointed that out, Dan, it's an interesting perspective.
It's one of the best things about Mixer is their hype zone and putting people at the top of the streaming list when they're
Very
like in a
different.
top 10 situation. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
very
Right.
specific. Sorry, I cut somebody off. I didn't mean to.
No, I was going to say, so Chubby says that the only reason they were able to maintain a viewership was because they were a T500 player, top 500, I'm assuming. So it's able to network with higher player streamers. So that's another way that you can stand out. If you become a pro, especially Fortnite esports, it's something that's just up and coming. So if you get really good at it, you put in the hours. If you do well in tournaments, you're top of the leaderboards, people will recognize your name. People will look for your stream. If you know, people go to leaderboards in Fortnite, they see you top 10, like they will look for you. If you're with a pro team, you compete in tournaments, that is definitely a way to climb the ladders in games that are very saturated. So, it could work for you, but like just playing Fortnite on its own, I mean, go to Fortnite directory and scroll down and see where you would be, because
I think there's like
people are gonna find you down there.
streams.
Oh, jeez, I can't even imagine.
I was gonna say, don't count the streams; it's too many.
Yeah,
yeah. I had a buddy who, before Fortnite, worked for hours and hours to get to Masters in League of Legends, just because he was like, unless I'm in Masters, there's no way I'm gonna get any viewership. And I was like, yeah, even then, you still have to find some way to get at least a little bit of a community together.
Yeah.